A woman's touch is never random, never. And I know this because I am one. Every single time a girl makes physical contact with you, there's a calculation happening in her brain that she might not even be fully aware of. Here's what nobody tells you. According to researchers at DePaul University, women use touch as a deliberate screening mechanism to test if a man is interested back. The touch comes first, the words come second. And if you miss that first signal, she assumes you're not interested and moves on permanently. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's one specific touch, one particular spot she'll reach for that basically screams she's into you. And most guys have no idea it's happening because they're too busy listening to what she's saying instead of paying attention to what her hands are doing. So let me be completely honest with you right now. As a woman, I almost feel like I'm betraying some kind of unspoken sisterhood code by making this video, because what I'm about to share with you is essentially the playbook, the things we do subconsciously and consciously when we're genuinely attracted to someone. And here's the thing that makes this so powerful. Dr. David Given, an anthropologist who spent over 30 years studying nonverbal courtship signals, found that women initiate about 65% of all romantic interactions through nonverbal cues. Not words, not confessions, touch, body language, microsignals that bypass the logical brain entirely. The problem? Most men are completely blind to these signals. A study published in the journal Psychological Science revealed that men correctly identify only 36% of the flirtation signals women send. That means you're missing nearly 2/3 of the green lights she's throwing your way. And that's frustrating for both sides. Honestly, because when a woman works up the courage to send these signals and they go completely unnoticed, she doesn't try harder. She gives up. So today, I'm going to walk you through the specific touches that reveal genuine attraction. And more importantly, I'm going to explain the psychology behind each one so you actually understand why these behaviors occur. This isn't guesswork. This is science meeting real-world female experience. But before we get into the most telling touch of all, which I'm saving because it's that important, let me start with the foundation. Here's something that completely changed how I understood human connection. Touch is the first sense we develop in the womb. Before sight, before hearing, before taste or smell, we learn to perceive the world through physical contact. This is why touch remains the most primal and honest form of communication throughout our entire lives. Dr. Matthew Herenstein from DePaul University conducted a fascinating experiment. Participants were blindfolded and asked to identify emotions through touch alone. The results were remarkable. People could accurately identify emotions like gratitude, sympathy, love, and fear through brief touches with up to 78% accuracy. Now apply that to attraction. When a woman touches you, she's communicating something her words might never say directly, and her brain is doing something very specific during these moments. Oxytocin. You've probably heard of it, the so-called love hormone. When we touch someone we're attracted to, our brains release oxytocin, which creates feelings of bonding, trust, and connection. But here's the part that rarely gets mentioned. This release happens more intensely in women than in men. So when a woman initiates touch with you, she's essentially triggering her own bonding mechanism. She's chemically investing in you. That's why casual touches from attracted women are never actually casual. Her brain is literally creating an attachment to you through that contact. But not all touches are created equal. And that's where things get really interesting. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Women are incredibly spatially aware. We know exactly where our bodies are in relation to others. If a woman's hand brushes against yours while you're walking together, if her knee touches yours under the table, if her shoulder keeps bumping into you in a crowd that isn't even that crowded, these are not accidents. I repeat, these are not accidents. Here's the psychology behind this. Dr. Monica Moore from Webster University documented over 52 distinct nonverbal behaviors women use when attracted to someone. The accidental touch was among the top 10 most frequently observed behaviors. Why do we do this instead of just being direct? Safety, plausible deniability. When a woman makes an accidental touch, she's testing the waters while protecting herself from rejection. If you pull away or seem uncomfortable, she can simply pretend it never happened. But if you lean in slightly, if you reciprocate that touch, if you smile, She knows it's safe to escalate. This is essentially a risk-free first move that doesn't feel like a first move. Now, here's what separates attraction from coincidence: frequency and duration. One brush of the hand could be random, but if she keeps finding reasons to make physical contact, if those touches linger just a beat longer than necessary, you're not dealing with accidents anymore. You're dealing with interest. I had a friend who spent 3 months wondering if a girl from his office was interested in him. Every time they talked, she would touch his forearm when making a point. Every single time. 3 months of this that I finally had to tell him that if a woman is finding reasons to touch you multiple times in every single interaction, she's not being polite. She's being interested. He asked her out the next week. They've been together for 2 years now, but here's where I need to pause and tell you about a specific touch that's even more revealing than the arm touch, and the location might surprise you. When a woman reaches towards you to fix your collar, adjust your tie, brush lint off your shoulder, or straighten your shirt, pay very close attention, because this is one of the most intimate, non-intimate touches that exists. Here's why this matters so much. This type of touch requires entering your personal space, your intimate zone, which according to anthropologist Edward Hall, extends only about 18 in from your body. Strangers don't enter this zone. Acquaintances don't enter this zone. Only people who feel a certain level of intimacy and comfort do. But more importantly, this helpful touch is proprietary. She's treating you as if you already belong to her. She's grooming you. And grooming behavior in the animal kingdom is almost exclusively reserved for mates and close family members. When a woman fixes your appearance, she's subconsciously claiming you. She's saying, I want you to look good because how you look reflects on me. She's already imagining you as hers. And here's the fascinating part. Research from the University of Albany found that women who perform these grooming behaviors often don't consciously realize they're doing it. The behavior is so instinctive, so tied to attraction that it happens automatically. So, if a woman you're talking to suddenly reaches over and fixes your hair or straightens your lapel or picks invisible lint from your sweater, understand what's happening. She's not being helpful. She's being attracted. But wait, there's a touch even more revealing than this one, and it involves a part of your body you probably never considered significant. The shoulder is fascinating. Psychologically speaking, it occupies this interesting middle ground between platonic and romantic. It's more intimate than a handshake, but less forward than touching someone's face or hand. It's the safe, intimate touch, and women know this. We use it strategically. When a girl touches your shoulder while laughing at something you said, when she lets her hand rest there for just a moment, when she gives you a squeeze while saying goodbye, she's doing something very specific. She's testing your receptiveness to physical contact while maintaining plausibility. Dr. Alan Peace, author of the definitive book of body language, notes that shoulder touches between people who are attracted to each other last approximately 40% longer than shoulder touches between platonic friends. The duration tells the story, but there's also a dominance element here. When someone touches your shoulder, they're placing themselves in a slightly elevated position relative to you. They're connecting with you in a way that feels both friendly and mildly assertive. For women who are attracted but also want to maintain some power in the interaction, the shoulder touch is perfect. I've done this myself countless times before I even understood why. There's something about a man's shoulders that draws our hands there when we're interested. It's partially the strength they represent, partially the intimacy of the zone, and partially the fact that it's acceptable enough to do without seeming too forward. Now, I've been building towards something throughout this entire video. There's one touch that sits above all others in terms of what it communicates, and I'm about to share it with you. But first, let me talk about what happens when she touches her own body while talking to you, because this might be even more telling than when she touches you. This is where psychology gets really interesting. When a woman is attracted to you, she doesn't just touch you, she touches herself. And no, not in that way. Pay attention. She'll play with her hair. She'll touch her neck. She'll stroke her collarbone. She'll fiddle with her necklace. She'll run her fingers along her arms. These self-soothing and self-pringing behaviors are powerful indicators of attraction that most men completely miss. Here's the science. When we're around someone we're attracted to, our nervous system activates, heart rate increases, breathing changes, anxiety rises. Self-touching behaviors help regulate that nervous system response. They're literally calming mechanisms, but there's something else happening simultaneously. Dr. Monica Moore's research found that self-touching behaviors during attraction often unconsciously draw attention to specific body parts. When she touches her neck, she's subconsciously directing your gaze there. When she plays with her hair, she's highlighting it. These are display behaviors, not just nervous habits. The hair touch is particularly significant. Anthropologist David Given calls hair play one of the most universal courtship signals across cultures. When a woman twirls her hair, flips it over her shoulder, or runs her fingers through it while talking to you, she's engaging in what's essentially a grooming display, making herself more attractive in your eyes. And here's the subtle detail that reveals everything. The direction of her touch matters. If she's touching the side of her neck facing you, she's exposing her most vulnerable area in your direction, which signals trust and attraction. If she's touching her lips while you speak, she's subconsciously imagining those lips being touched by you. I know that sounds bold, but the research backs it up. Now, let's talk about the lower body touches, because this is where the signals get unmistakable. When a woman touches your knee or places her hand on your thigh, understand that this is not a casual gesture. The lower body is intimate territory. Touching someone there requires significant comfort and attraction. According to research published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior, leg touches are rated among the most intimate forms of non-sexual physical contact. Women do not touch the legs of men, they're not interested in it. Simply doesn't happen as a casual or friendly gesture. The knee specifically sits at this interesting boundary. It's low enough to seem somewhat innocent, but intimate enough to communicate clear interest. When she places her hand on your knee during a conversation, especially if she leaves it there while making a point or laughing, she's creating a physical connection that goes beyond friendship. And the thigh, even more significant, the thigh is protective territory. We keep our legs closed, crossed, guarded. When a woman feels comfortable enough to touch your thigh, she's crossing a significant intimacy barrier. But here's what separates genuine interest from situational touching. Context matters, but repetition matters more. If she touches your knee once during an animated story, it could be emphasis. If she keeps finding reasons to touch your leg throughout the evening, she's communicating something entirely different. A 2017 study from the University of Oxford found that touch, specifically leg and arm touches, was the single best predictor of whether a first date would lead to a second date. Not conversation quality, not shared interests. Touch. Women know this intuitively. When we want a second date, we touch. When we don't, we maintain distance. All right, I've kept you waiting long enough. It's time to reveal the touch that communicates the strongest attraction of all. When a woman touches your face, game over. She's interested. The face is the most personal, most vulnerable, most intimate part of our bodies. We protect it instinctively. We don't let strangers near it. When someone touches our face, we allow them into a space reserved for only the most intimate connections. This is why the face touch is the ultimate signal of attraction. When she brushes something from your cheek, when she cups your face while making a point, when she traces your jawline playfully, when she pretends to wipe something from the corner of your mouth, she's crossing the final physical boundary before romantic contact. Research from the University of British Columbia found that facial touching between attracted individuals increased heart rate in both parties more than any other form of non-sexual touch. The face touch triggers a cascade of neurochemical responses that prime both people for romantic connection. But here's what makes this even more significant. Women are incredibly protective of their own facial boundaries. We don't let just anyone touch our faces. So when we extend that touch to someone else, we're essentially saying, I trust you enough to enter my most protected space, and I'm entering yours. This reciprocity is key. The face touch is an invitation. She's not just expressing interest, she's checking if you'll let her in. And there's a specific variation of the face touch that's particularly telling. When she pushes hair back from your forehead or traces her finger down the side of your face or holds your chin for a moment while making eye contact, she's not being friendly. She's being forward, very forward. I've watched men completely miss this signal countless times. She's basically saying, "Kiss me with her hands." And he's talking about the weather. Now, let's talk about the hands because the way she touches your hands reveals more than you might think. A quick hand touch during conversation is one thing, but when she holds your hand, especially when she interlocks fingers with you, she's establishing connection and possession simultaneously. Here's the interesting psychology. Research shows that holding hands reduces cortisol levels, the stress hormone, more effectively than almost any other form of touch. When a woman reaches for your hand and intertwines her fingers with yours, she's seeking comfort and safety in you. Specifically, the interlocking aspect matters tremendously. An open hand hold palm to palm is intimate, but interlocked fingers create an almost unbreakable connection. You become literally intertwined. Psychologically, this gesture represents a desire for closer bonding and commitment, even if just in that moment. Notice how she holds your hand as well. If her thumb strokes the back of your hand, she's adding an affection layer. If she squeezes periodically, she's communicating reassurance and connection. If she plays with your fingers, she's comfortable and engaged. A woman who doesn't want to be near you will not hold your hand. It's really that simple. Hand holding requires vulnerability and trust. When she offers her hand or takes yours, she's offering and taking something much more significant. This one might seem counterintuitive, but bear with me. When a woman playfully hits your arm or pushes you away while laughing, she's not creating distance. She's creating connection. The playful hit is actually one of the most misunderstood attraction signals. Men sometimes think it's dismissive or annoyed. It's the opposite. Here's the psychology. Physical play creates bonding. It releases endorphins. It establishes comfort with touching. When she gives you a playful slap on the arm after you tease her, she's essentially saying, "I'm comfortable enough with you to touch you, and I want you to touch me back." This behavior actually mirrors how children establish friendships. Play fighting, pushing, pulling. These are bonding behaviors that persist into adulthood, particularly in romantic contexts. Dr. Jeffrey Hall from the University of Kansas studied flirtation behaviors and found that playful physical touching was one of the strongest predictors of romantic interest, particularly when combined with laughing and teasing. The key indicator is whether she's smiling while doing it. A genuine playful hit comes with a genuine smile, often with sustained eye contact. She's not actually trying to hurt you or push you away. She's trying to create a physical dialogue. And here's a subtle element most men miss. After she playfully hits or pushes you, watch where her hand goes. If it lingers on your arm for a moment, or if she immediately finds another reason to touch you, she's attracted. The playful contact was just the opening move. When a woman is attracted to you, her entire body will orient toward you. But there's a specific behavior that goes beyond mere orientation. The full body lean. This is when she's standing or sitting and her entire torso tilts in your direction. She's not just facing you, she's leaning into you. And often this lean includes touch, her arm against yours, her shoulder pressing into you, her hip touching yours as you stand together. The psychology here is primal. We lean toward things we want and away from things we don't. This is so deeply ingrained in human behavior that it happens completely unconsciously. Research on proxemics, the study of human spatial behavior, shows that we maintain different distances from different people. We allow loved ones into our intimate zone roughly 18 in from our bodies. When a woman keeps leaning into that zone with you, she's signaling that she wants you there. But the lean touch specifically communicates something more. She's not just tolerating closeness. She's actively seeking it. She's pressing her physical presence against yours. I've done this countless times without realizing it. You're talking to someone you're interested in, and suddenly you notice you're standing so close, your arms are touching, and you have no memory of moving closer. The body moves toward attraction instinctively. Every woman knows there's a difference between a friendly hug and an interested hug. Men frequently miss this distinction. A friendly hug is quick, light, often one-armed or with minimal body contact. An interested hug is full-bodied, lingering, and involves additional elements that communicate attraction. When a woman hugs you and holds on for 3, 4, 5 seconds longer than necessary, she doesn't want to let go. When she presses her entire body against yours, rather than doing the shoulder tap and release, she's seeking maximum contact. When she rubs your back during the hug or squeezes you at the end, she's adding affection layers. A study from London, published in 2014, found that hugs lasting 20 seconds or longer triggered significant oxytocin release, creating bonding effects. Similar to much more intimate contact, women who are attracted will instinctively try to extend hugs into that territory. And here's a detail that reveals everything: how she pulls away. If she stays close after the hug ends, if she keeps her hands on your arms, if she looks up at you with maintained eye contact instead of immediately stepping back, she's not done with that moment. She's extending it. Pay attention to hugs. They reveal more than you'd think. Now, here's where everything comes together, and this is critical. No single touch in isolation proves attraction. Context matters. Relationship matters. Situation matters. But when multiple touching behaviors cluster together, when she's making accidental contact and fixing your collar and touching her hair and leaning into you and holding hugs too long, you're not dealing with a friendly woman. You're dealing with a woman who's interested and hoping you'll notice. The research supports this clustering approach. A meta-analysis of courtship behavior studies found that accuracy in detecting attraction increased dramatically when observers looked for multiple signals rather than single behaviors. Women rarely rely on one signal. They layer them. And here's the part that I really need you to understand. Most women will never tell you directly that they're interested. Not at first. The touch comes first. The signals come first. She's waiting for you to notice and respond. When you respond positively to her touches, when you reciprocate them, when you move closer, when she moves closer, you're having a conversation she's been hoping you'd join. Too many men wait for verbal confirmation that never comes because they miss the physical conversation entirely. So let me leave you with this thought. Women communicate attraction primarily through touch. Every study confirms this. Every woman knows this. The touches I've described today aren't random behaviors. They're invitations. And here's what makes this knowledge powerful. Once you start noticing these signals, you can't unsee them. You'll recognize attraction that you previously would have completely missed. You'll understand that the woman who keeps touching your arm isn't just being friendly. You'll know that the accidental contact is absolutely intentional. But knowing isn't enough. You have to respond. When she touches you, touch back. When she leans in, lean in. When she creates opportunities for contact, take them. This isn't about manipulation or games. This is about speaking the same language, the language of touch that women have been fluent in all along. Now, I've given you the signals that show a woman likes you, but there's something even more important that most men completely miss. Something that determines whether that initial attraction turns into something lasting or fizzles out entirely. You see, knowing she's interested is only step one. What you do with that information, specifically where and how you touch her in return, makes all the difference. And there's one particular area that mature women want touched first that most men overlook entirely. It's not what you're thinking. It's not obvious, but when you get it right, everything changes. I made an entire video about this called What Every Mature Woman Wants Touched First. Most men miss this. And honestly, it might be more important than everything I just shared with you today because attraction without proper escalation leads nowhere. That video is appearing on your screen right now. Do yourself a favor, watch it immediately after this one. Your future self will thank.